Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Tonight, we're unpacking a story that started as a single answer in a single interview and then rolled like thunder across timelines. Erkan Meriç spoke openly about his past with Hazal Subaşı. His words were careful yet unmistakably personal, and the silence that followed from Hazal's side only amplified the debate. What really happened between two people who once seemed headed for wedding bells? Why did a brief comment reignite years of curiosity? And what is the humane way to talk about a private end that refuses to stay off the public stage? Let's begin with the moment itself. In a recent sit-down, Erkan was asked about that chapter, about a love story that fans watched begin on a set and assumed would continue into real life without interruption. He didn't evade. He didn't dramatize. He said, in essence, the past is closed, but not every scar fades at the same speed. One person's best efforts cannot always carry two hearts. It was a statement that avoided accusation while acknowledging pain. And because he is so rarely this candid, the sentence landed like a door clicking shut in a quiet room. You could almost hear the collective inhale. From there, the reaction split into familiar currents. One current read his words as overdue honesty, the admission of a man who tried to keep a promise to himself and couldn't, or perhaps tried to repair something that didn't want to be repaired. Another current heard reproach between the lines, a suggestion that choice and timing were not aligned, that somewhere along the way one person accelerated toward the future while the other braked. And then there was the third current, the loudest one online, the demand for a reply from Hazal Subaşı. Her decision not to respond, at least not yet, became a canvas for projection. Silence, in our era, is rarely allowed to be itself. It is treated as either strategy or surrender. But sometimes silence just means a boundary has been drawn around what is no longer available for public revision. To understand why this interview moment resonated so widely, you have to revisit the origin story. Two young actors meet on a set. The cameras discover that they fit, visually, rhythmically, in all the small exchanges that make a scene feel like a life instead of a line reading. Viewers stitched those scenes into their own routines, turning weeknights into rituals and the fictional couple into a sort of shared national memory. When the credits ended, the pair didn't evaporate. They appeared at events, in friendly photos, in clips that blurred the line between character and colleague. Inevitably, a question followed them from red carpet to red carpet: when? When will this become official? When will the ring appear? When will the wedding banner replace the poster? But life is not a press tour. Ambition, fatigue, family, travel, conflicting schedules, the simple fact that two people can adore each other and still want different shapes for their future, all of that lives behind the edits. From the outside, the split felt sudden. From the inside, it might have been 100 small decisions stacked like pages until the book was too heavy to carry. There were rumors, as there always are. Some said Hazal Subaşı chose to prioritize a demanding career and new opportunities. Others insisted there were deeper incompatibilities disguised as calendar conflicts. None of those rumors were confirmed. What was confirmed was distance. Erkan's new comment did not redraw the map. It highlighted the fault lines already visible to anyone who had watched carefully. He admitted effort. He admitted limit. He didn't assign blame outright, but he also didn't repackage the breakup as a mutual shrug. In public relations terms, it was elegant, enough truth to close the loop, not so much detail that it opens new wounds. In human terms, it was a man saying, "I once believed a different ending was possible, and I am making peace with the ending I got." What about Hazal? It's tempting to read her silence as cornered, calculated, or defiant. Here's another possibility: dignified. Not every invitation to revisit the past must be accepted. Not every question deserves a televised answer. She has work to do, obligations to honor, and a reputation built on presence rather than confessionals. There is strength in choosing not to refuel an engine you did not start. If her close circle is frustrated that her name is back in the headlines for reasons other than craft, that frustration is understandable. But being the subject of conversation is not the same as being compelled to add to it. Still, the media machine churns. Headlines reduce complexity to a single heat-seeking phrase. Comment sections insist on villains, and if they don't find one, they invent one. But love stories rarely fail because one person is secretly terrible. They fail because life is heavy, time is limited, and being good together on camera is not a guarantee of being good together when the microphones are gone. Fans who spend years rooting for Forever deserve tenderness too. They learned a narrative and invested in it emotionally. Today, they're being asked to hold two truths at once: the story you loved was real in the way art makes reality, and the people who carried it owe you nothing beyond the work that built your affection for them in the first place. Let's look at the professional stakes, because they are not trivial. For Erkan Meriç, this interview may mark a pivot, away from the posture of polite non-answers and toward a voice that chooses clarity over ambiguity. That doesn't mean every door to the past is now open, it means the door to speculation has been pushed mostly closed. For Hazal Subaşı, the advice any good team gives in moments like this is simple: stay the course. Let the project speak. Select interviews that center the work. Decline invitations to litigate what cannot be litigated without loss. In 6 months, this will be a paragraph in a longer chapter. The only question is whether that paragraph is about craft or about comments. She has the power to choose which. There's also the matter of reputational gravity. When a public figure names hurt, the ground can tilt. Some will use that tilt to slide into easy narratives: he's not over it, she walked away without looking back. Resist those shortcuts. Someone can heal and still be honest about the tenderness of a scar. Someone can choose not to return and still carry gratitude for what was shared. If the two were once on the brink of a wedding and then weren't, that doesn't mean there was a villain. It means the future changed shape faster than the public could process. We should also discuss the quiet cost of being watched. Private people who love public people often learn two hard lessons: that any sentence can be taken out of context, and that any stillness can be miscast as scheme. The only reliable antidote is consistency. If Erkan continues to answer past-focused questions with measured brevity and future-focused questions with specificity about his work, this moment will age well. If Hazal continues to let her roles, preparation, and presence define her, the noise will fade into what it always was: background. Does this story have another chapter? Possibly, but probably not the one some are reaching for. A tell-all won't heal anything. A mutual televised reunion would feel like theater, and both have grown past the need to perform intimacy for people who do not live with its costs. The more likely next chapter looks like parallel excellence: two careers that continue to climb, two people who learned difficult lessons early and use them to shape kinder boundaries later. If an intersection arrives someday, a charity event, an awards night, a panel where professionalism puts them on the same stage, it will be a moment for courtesy, not a referendum on the past. Here is the clearest way to hold the week's headlines in your hands. He spoke. She didn't. He admitted effort and limit. She chose privacy over performance. You can respect both. If you need a story to win, let it be this one: that two actors who gave you a great love on screen will keep giving you great work off screen, and that your affection for them can mature into something more generous than curiosity, into the kind of loyalty that cheers when they protect themselves. Before we close, a final thought about the phrase that always returns in tabloids: old loves never truly end. It sounds romantic. It is also untrue in a useful way. Old loves end when both people decide to protect the life they actually have instead of the life strangers want to watch. What doesn't end is the respect you can carry forward and the lessons you can put to work. If there is a legacy here, let it be that. Thank you for being here tonight. If you care about stories told with care, about remembering that real names belong to real people, stay with us. We'll keep giving you the full picture, and we'll do it without turning human beings into plot devices. Until next time, be kind in the comments, and take good care.